Well, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, today we have a unique reaction. We're going to be reacting to the original game soundtrack of the Rainbow Six Siege X. Now, I have not finished the season by season, year by year soundtrack reaction of Rainbow Six Siege, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity of breaking down and really analyzing this new direction that Ubisoft have decided to go in with Siege. I've been hearing a lot of things that the kind of main motif, then, if you will, that's been around Siege since the very beginning, that other composers have taken that and utilized that. We've broke it down here, guys. We've broke down the original, the ever first game soundtrack from Siege. You know, the kind of five notes then that's synonymous with this franchise at this point. Season by season, year by year, they incorporate that and implement it, change it, make it unique, to the composer, but they've kept with the same motif. I've been hearing some rumblings that they move away from this. Now, do they move away from this and not use it completely? I don't know. I've been avoiding spoilers for this very reason. You know, Henry Jackman as well, he's a composer from the film world primarily. So I think it kind of would make sense that he would shy away from that. A motif's a motif, it doesn't matter where. But at the end of the day, I think maybe he wanted to add his own spice into this. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are on this track. Let's get into Siege X. Here we go. So right now, it's mainly one theme. Uh, it's kind of it's very electronic. Uh, I like as well. So there's kind of synth keys, synth pads. There's an arpeggiator going on as well, which is a synth. So there's an arp. I think you might have a kick mixed with a bass. You have some hi hats, but the thing about that arp is that they're mixing it to the left and the right speaker, so they're panning it back and forth. So it's going to the left and it's going to the right, but it's not going like jolting hard left. It's just smoothly panning over, just like that. It's not like hit left, hit right. It's just smooth, kind of motions going on with the panning. So right there, I almost interpreted that as a heartbeat, vroom, vroom, vroom. Like I thought that that's what they were going to. They've definitely kept the kind of the spy nature of it. With the siege and the operatives and the kind of the spying nature of these kind of task forces or these agents. I'm not really familiarized with the lore because I mainly just play Siege. I'm not really in tune with the lore, but you know the kind of spy element, the strategic nature of it. It's very tension. See that? That's how they kind of pan in that there with the kind of the kind of aggressive nature then. You know, it's very calm. You know, very pulsy bass, but then you've got like kind of the higher synths going. And then underneath as well, there's just this kind of like ambience, like kind of texture going on that uh, it's almost like a swell. Just an underneath kind of sonic sound then that's just very, yeah, texturized. So I mean, in total they probably have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of layers of sound going on. But 4 or 5 layers of sound going on. But each kind of layer, it's got enough meat and bones that fills out a lot of the frequencies. You know, a lot of composers, they don't meet. A lot of aspiring composers, they don't kind of know that. They often fill, and it's just like less can be very substantial, you know, very important. As long as these kind of notes that you're hitting are hitting the speakers, and it feels filled. In 4 or 5 layers, to a lot of people, that's not a whole lot. But in this, I think it's just doing a job. So there's the change. 27 seconds in, we've got kind of the atmosphere. We've got, you know, the kind of we've got an understanding of what this sonically sounds like. So now they're adding in that extra dum dum. So then the hi hats added in that again, that level of, you know, kind of percussion, just adding in that kind of fuel to the tension. It even fades out. Just fades out. It very much fades out. I think you do hear a little bit of the old kind of familiar, if you will. After that, you heard like the little wobble, like the little like synth wobble that they did have back in the original stuff. But obviously, it's not that kind of motif that people are thinking. I can't, and you know, if you know anything about my channel, you know I am a sucker for a good motif. You know I am a sucker for a good motif. There's not really that. You know, I understand with like Siege X, it's going off into a new direction. Maybe you want to move away. You know, that theme stayed with that version of the game for 10 years. You know, it's had different iterations, but ultimately, just like the Assassin's Creed motif, that motif, you know, has stayed throughout that franchise since the inception. So I understand fans going, hey, but I think I think if I was given the opportunity, I think I would have created a new motif because I think it would only make sense. You create a new motif for a kind of a new era and a new direction. You know, you kind of go, look, this composer came in, created this motif. It became the game's sound for 10 years. Now I'm gonna come in and appreciate that. Maybe in the future pay homage to that. But right now I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna create a new theme for basically a new game at this point. And obviously it's not Siege Part, it's not Siege 2, it's Siege X. It still is the continuation, but it feels like a new game, you know? I think that's what I would have done. This, I really like it because it has the synthy pulses. It has so much electronic, and look, my compositions are mostly electronic, not really kind of classical, orchestra. But yeah, it's very, it's it certainly feels new, you know. Again, Henry Druckmann isn't a composer, you kind of overlook. He composed a lot of movies, so it's very interesting that this is I don't know. Post down in the comments down below your thoughts. Yeah, I mean, towards the end there as well, they even drop out a lot of the kind of the main sounds that carry the soundtrack forward. They drop it out. They add some plucks, some synth plucks, some risers, some whooshes. They added in double bass, so not like the instrument, but it's more like two kind of bass notes, acting more like a kick. So it certainly is interesting. They relied towards the end there quite on reverb, to echo the sound to make it feel like it's lasting. As I said, I don't know if this here is going to be the new motif. That. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know if that's going to be the new motif because that was that was emphasized a lot in like the third act. Like listen to the whole third act. So you hear the double kick. You hear the do, 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 but it's like the start of it. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. But then as you get towards the end here, so you got kind of metallic sounds going on. So synth strings like kind of just lasting, almost like they're screaming. So you get some kind of basically sound design happening here. Just a lot of kind of just sound design, kind of texture sounds, like ambient sounds. Not obviously not of like the traditional ambience, but you know what I mean. Some weird like ambient sound in a good way. experimental sounds. There we go, that's a better word. Experimental sounds, backing up by this. And then the reverb's off, so it vibrates, it echoes off, so it fades off. I don't know if that's going to be the new kind of motif. Do 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 do. Because it just seems to me, it seems, a motif is kind of stating the obvious. When you listen to soundtracks that has a motif, you know it's a motif, even if you're not a music, nerd like I am. It doesn't like, the Darth Vader theme. Like that. You're like, that's a motif. So I'm very much curious to see. First off, do I continue this on? Uh, you guys let me know in the comments down below if it's worth it. If so, again, as I said, drop down a comment. And yeah, I'm not disappointed because I understand as an aspiring composer, I understand. You wanted to kind of be your own, but I think what made the Rainbow Six Siege feel unique when you would load up is that you would hear that sound. It's almost like the same as Assassin's Creed or any other game. You load up and you just hear a certain sound, and you're like, this is home." And I don't know if you load up Siege and you're hearing this. Don't know if it does that, but that's just my 2 cents. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you leave a like. Make sure you comment down below what you think about Siege X's new kind of sound direction. Do you think I should continue reacting to Rainbow Six Siege? Recommend me some Rainbow Six Siege soundtracks. But until my next video, guys, bye bye.